Hello, everyone, and welcome to Theory Labs. My name is John. This is the lab, and this is the first episode of a new series I like to call An Evening With. And in this series, I'm just going to have a bunch of awesome guests come on board. We're going to have some movie discussions and breakdowns, reviews, things like that. And today's awesome guest is my good friend Ace Embrador. How's it going, Ace?
What's up? Thank you. I'm back for the first time. Really appreciate you giving me a call out. And when you gave me a call and said you had a passion project where you wanted to talk about movies and discuss it with friends, and just I told you whenever you need me, I'm there. So I'm glad to be one of your first guests in the lab. So let's get it started.
Yep. Thanks again, Ace. So in today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about Can't Buy Me Love. It comes from 1987. It's a classic rom-com. Have you seen that movie before?
Have I seen that movie? Definitely. That's possibly one of my favorite movies, if my top three movies of all time. I've seen it countless numbers of times, and I'll definitely watch it all over again. And it's one of the movies that I definitely recommend if people have, what's a movie that they, do they want to watch? I always tell them, check out Can't Buy Me Love. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, I guess, kind of campy, but at the same time classic because it's a linear story. We follow the two main characters. Mm-hmm. In this case, a boy and a girl. Mm-hmm. It's a story about love, and it's a story about a character who, goes from zero to hero, falls from grace, picks himself back up, and does his thing.
Definitely,
we get to see a lot of a lot of character development.
Yeah, it's very, very straightforward. It's a rom-com, 80s style. Guy comes up with a scheme, executes the scheme comes to bite him in the butt. Now he has to figure out how to, pick himself back up, and then end credits roll. So it's just a really, really cute story. Like you said, the character development, I really, really enjoy the character development in this movie. I'm ready to jump right in whenever you're ready to jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So the movie opens up, and it's a young Patrick Dempsey. He's probably my third favorite doctor behind House and whoever was on Scrubs. I think they were nurses, actually.
John Dorian.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do, yeah.
But basically, it's young Patrick Dempsey, McDreamy, right?
I think that's what his name was. Yeah, McDreamy. If I get that correct, yeah, McDreamy was his code name in Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, it's a code name.
Well, that's what the girls kind of called him, McDreamy. I think he even knew he was McDreamy after a couple of seasons. I never really watched Grey's Anatomy, but he was known as McDreamy.
Yeah. And actually, he kind of looks like a young Sean Penn. When I first was watching it, I thought, is this Sean Penn?
Yeah, growing up, I actually got those two confused when I was like, hey, that's Sean Penn. No, that's Patrick Dempsey. Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then that's Patrick Dempsey. Like, no, that's Sean Penn. I was like, what the heck? You never see them in the same room together, so they might even be the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. They can definitely pass off as each other. But I think the one difference is it's those eyes. Dempsey has those eyes.
Beautiful eyes. You can get lost in them.
Oh gosh, pulls a sapphire. So the movie again opens up on him, and of course the classic Beatles song "Can't Buy Me Love." I don't know if the movie's named after that. I didn't do that much research into it, but it's definitely a great song. Great way to open the film.
I didn't know that, John. That's a good little tidbit that you brought up. Yeah, it is a Beatles song, "Can't Buy Me Love." It opens up with "Can't Buy Me Love" with him on a lawnmower, cutting grass, and I was like, okay, cool, let's go, let's get this started. And then classic opening, him cutting the lawn, and actually it's the lawn of the girl that he has a crush on, or who I forgot what her name was again. Cindy Mancini. There you go. I just wanted to
next door.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just cutting her grass, and he's just admiring her like every warm-blooded man in the state, and of course he was just a regular person, and then Cindy Mancini didn't know who he was, and
must have been hard to be that guy when your neighbor's the main cheerleader, top of the social hierarchy in school, just an absolute 10, and you just have to live next to that. And point it out in the next scene with the movie when when Ronald, Patrick Dempsey's character named Ronald in the movie, Ronald goes and is kind of scoping out the cheerleader practice, catches, wants to get Cindy's attention, but he's just an average guy and she's the it girl.
Yeah, and what's kind of funny about that movie, growing up, like I actually thought of, that was my misconception of what high school was going to be. Like, oh man, there's going to be, hot cheerleaders and football jock. Where am I going to stand in? When I enter high school, and when I did enter high school, it was nothing like that. But I mean, there was a hierarchy in high school. You did have your jocks, you did have your cheerleaders, but in this movie, they're basically king and queen. King of the captain of the football team, captain of the cheerleaders. Those are basically your top two people in that high school.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this movie, for its time, that's kind of how school was. When I was in high school, it was kind of the reverse effect, more of like a new age, the remake of 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, where when they first went to school in their high school, it was all about the jocks, like you said, the cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their cliques. I don't think cliques ever went away, but it was definitely this social hierarchy of if you're good looking and athletic, you're at the top. Mm-hmm. And it changed. When I went to school, it was more, I wouldn't say the nerds, but like more the edgy, kind of educated, I'm going to be kind of the class clown. Like those were the guys that were like,
correct.
We're looking up to them. Was that the same for you when you were in high school?
Yeah, I mean, you did, like you said, you mentioned that you did have your cliques, you did have your jocks, but you did have your basketball players compared to your football players. Mm-hmm. You had your cheerleaders, you had your dance team, you had your skaters, you had your emo kids, and then, a bunch of us regular kids just sprinkled around. But yeah, there was cliques in high school, but I thought, like, going into high school, like, whoa, who is the captain of the cheerleaders? Who is the captain of the football team? Mm-hmm. And, are they going to be, the number 1 and 2 within a school? And it just wasn't like that when I entered high school. But in the movie, they really put them in the high, totem pole. If you're a captain or a cheerleader, you're basically number 1. All the girls look up to you. You're hot shit. Same thing for the captain of the football team. Like, oh, whatever he does, it's cool. So they really emphasize, top of the food chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in this movie, when we meet Cindy, we're thinking, oh man, she's, the number 1 girl, all this stuff, but she's actually a really grounded character. And I think that's why we fall in love with her so quickly, is though she is the girl, all of the girls around her who are trying to be bougie and like trying to be the thing and talking down to other people, she really keeps them in check. She keeps them all grounded. She puts them on their shit, like, hey, but you do this and you do that, like, calm down. And at the same time, all of those other characters, they're very surface level, right? The jocks are the jocks. They're the meatheads. They're trying to score with the girls. The nerds are the nerds. They're cool in their own way, but they don't have a lot of social skills, so they kind of stick to themselves. They're shy of confrontation. And the difference with our two main characters is Cindy is who she is all the time, and Ronald wants to be there where she is. He wants the popularity, and that's been a theme for a lot of people when they're in high school, right? Like, you want to discover who you are, you want to be up there, you want to have fun. Yeah, we see that in even today. There's still more movies made like that. Booksmart, for example, came out in 2019, and that was a great example of girls who played by the rules in high school the whole time, and then their senior year they wanted to have fun, and that's what we see in Ronald. It's senior year, he's tired of being the guy that no one knows. He really wants to come out and enjoy his last year of school.
Yeah, he was basically coloring within the lines, and he was just more like, what, my senior year, what happens when you color outside of the lines? Like, is it really that bad? And he just wanted to make sure that his senior year he went out with a bang. And then he just saw the opportunity, with Cindy Mancini, like you said, everyone kind of gravitated towards her. She did have that girl next door quality.
Yeah.
So, she was just very lovable. At the same time, she was the top of the food chain where Ronald, and every other guy within that school was, oh my God, that's Cindy Mancini. It's just kind of fun to say that name, Cindy Mancini.
Cindy Mancini.
Yeah.
Cindy Mancini. Rolls off the tongue well.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue well.
Absolutely. And the good thing about this movie too is they really hit into what's gonna happen really early. We go from she's the girl next door, Ronald's a hard worker, he sees her, he wants to be with her, he wants to be her almost, because she's the hierarchy. And then it goes into, she's captain cheerleader. She has the super dope football college boyfriend, right? Because her boyfriend was a senior, but now he's in college, off in Iowa doing his thing. So she's still untouchable, if you will. And it gets right into the problem early on. There's a party. She's wearing her mom's outfit, which she shouldn't be wearing, and she knows that. She ruins it, and now she needs to replace it, but she doesn't have the money. And who's the hero that comes to the rescue?
Enter Ronald McDonald Miller.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing about this movie is they introduced the problem within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then gave you good character development, problem presented, solved, and then what else happens. And that's where I think this rom-com was really cool, because they presented the problem. And the cool thing about this too is when Ronald approached her, he didn't approach her like, hey, can I buy you? He's like, can I buy your status? If I were to rent you, pretend we were dating, I'm going to get where I want to be. And then from there on, let me fly on my own. And then she was like, wait, it doesn't work like that. Popularity doesn't work like that. And he was like, well, I have $1,000. I can beg to differ. So the cool thing about this movie is that as much as he wanted the girl, he wanted her status rather than, the girl. Of course, he still wanted her, but he overall wanted her status. He wanted to be popular. He wanted to be with the cool kids. He wanted to be invited to all the parties and all that thing. So when he saw her in desperate need, he came in and was like, hey, if I do this for you, you have to scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. And, they get into a little funny situation.
Exactly. That's a great way to sum it up, because he saw that opportunity, right? He was saving money. He wanted to buy a telescope. He's at the mall, and just like every 80s movie that happens, coincidentally, she goes into the mall trying to purchase that outfit that she ruined. $1,000. She doesn't have $1,000. But who does? Ronald.
Yeah.
Seizes the moment. Instead of buying his telescope, which he's been saving a ton of money, mowing a ton of lawns to get, he goes, this is my chance. This is my in. He takes it, and she doesn't have any. She's like, well, I have nothing else to lose. I need to do this, or my ass is grass for the rest of senior year. So she agrees to it, and then they go into the terms of what this relationship is.
Correct. Yeah, and it's funny that you say her ass is grass. I'm pretty sure Ronald would have mowed her lawn, if you know what I mean. But it's a different movie. Yeah, so the terms come into play where he goes, if we do this thing, we have to pretend we're hanging out or going out for 1 month, and treat me kind of like the dude you're dating, but and then from there on, I'm pretty sure the cool kids will accept me, and just as long as there's no physical contact, she was up for it.
Yeah, no hand holding, no kissing, but they'll be seen together. They'll have lunch together. He kind of has to force that a little on her. Like, she's like, oh, maybe lunch once a week. And he goes, yo,
I need more of my investment.
He needs return on his investment. He's an opportunist for sure. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's a hard worker. So he talks her into it. And even day one, he sits with her at lunch, and the jocks are already accepting him. They go, hey, why is Cindy with him? The girls are like, why is Cindy with him? But she's with them. She sees the contract through. She is true to her word. She doesn't act like, oh, I'm gonna have to go through this. No, she's with it.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like you said. It's guilty of who you hang out with, and the jocks see like, oh wow, wasn't that like the nerdy kid that mows your lawn? Like, well, no, not really. He's more than that. He's actually a cool kid, and since they get validation from Cindy, okay, well, Cindy says it's cool, he must be cool. So, like you said, yeah, the jocks, the cheerleaders, everyone starts accepting him as a cool kid now.
Yeah, and from there, we get to see just how human and how lovable Cindy is even more, because even after day one, Ronald was too nervous to eat his lunch, so they go to a pizza parlor together, and she goes, yo, this is your opportunity. The jocks come in, invite them over, and he does. They eat all his pizza, unfortunately.
The jocks do what the jocks do.
Oh man, but it still shows that Cindy is in it 100%.
Yeah.
And they continue to see this 30 days out.
And I think what's interesting with that too, like, yeah, Cindy was kind of, she was hesitant, like, whoa, this is weird. I don't think that's how popularity works. But
Yeah.
when she gave it a chance, she did see like, whoa, Ronald is actually a really cool guy. He's actually a nice guy. He's very interesting. He's caring. So as much as like she was against it at first, she was like, whoa, she's just actually meeting a really cool guy. And the cool thing was that he wasn't really pressing her too. He was just more seeing it. This is my opportunity to make it as a cool kid. I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. And she was just like, well, I'm getting paid for this to be his friend technically. So he's actually a really nice guy. Why not? So she's starting to enjoy her time with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And she changes up his styles from day one. She goes, yo, this ain't gonna work. She rips off his sleeves, throws mousse in his hair, and that's all it took.
Yeah, it's basically Superman taking off his bifocals
and getting that little Jerry curl.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to Ronald.
Yeah, it was actually a transformation. Ronald turned into Ronnie because once he became the cool guy, he became Ronnie.
Oh, 100%. You can't have Ronald and be a cool guy. You have to change up your name. So
switch it up.
Exactly. So she even takes him to a party, which wasn't even part of the deal. It just shows that Cindy is invested into this. And of course, the whole time, the audience is kind of seeing that she's not really with her boyfriend, Bobby.
Yeah.
So she's really taking this opportunity, and he's opening her eyes just like she's opening his. Yeah. She's opening his in terms of, this is what it looks like. This is what it is to be popular. It's hard work. You have to impress people. You have to show up. You have to do your thing. And he's eating it all up, but she's seeing, yo, you're a hard worker. And he even tells her, you can be whatever you want. And I think she truly believes that, because she even opens up and gives him some of his poetry, which no one else has heard before.
Correct. Yeah. And like you said, like, Cindy was like, all right, if you're ready for this whole popularity thing, she kind of pulls back the curtain. Like, this is what it is. And, he just dives right into it. He's like, oh, I love being popular. And at the same time, while they're hanging out, he's still that nice, lovable guy and listening to her, and he's understanding to why she might be irritable sometimes. And, he did make a reference like, hey, has Bobby hasn't called yet. And then she's like, hey, that's none of your business. And he kind of like, you got to remember this. When he was in this small town, he was the big fish. But now since he's in college, he's a small fish just trying to make it in. Trust me, he hasn't forgotten about you. It's just he's just trying to figure out his situation right now. And she just sees like, wow, like, you're just a really cool guy. And that's where she opens up to him and, shows him her poetry, which she hasn't shown anyone. Not even Bobby knows that she does poetry.
Exactly. And she even tells them too, as they're hanging out and going on dates, and he takes her to the awesome airplane graveyard, which we'll get into in a second. But she has always told him, just be yourself, because you are really great.
Yeah.
And don't let this change you.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like, well, it's crazy, like, how she had to be put in a bad situation in order for her to kind of find out, wow, you're actually a really cool guy. And as their contract slowly starts to kind of like come to an end, like you said, they ended their last date was at the airplane graveyard. Yeah, the graveyard. And she's starting to feel him. Like, she was like, whoa, maybe this can turn into something. And he's strictly, well, this is contract. Once this day is over, I'm on my own again. But like after the airplane graveyard, what happens after that?
Well, she was ready. It seemed like she wanted to kiss him. It seemed like she was ready for a full relationship. He's going, oh, I've never done this before. We got to figure it out. And she's like, yeah, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, cool. How are we going to break up? And the music kind of stops in her mind. She deflates.
Yeah, she thought like, wow, we're moving towards something. And she thought one thing, and he's strictly 100%, well, this is a strictly contract. First of all, why would Cindy Mancini, be into me? So he didn't have that thinking like, whoa, I might make her fall in love with me. Well, in actuality, he was. And then she kind of had to pull herself back to earth. Like, yeah, how are we going to break up? And which is probably one of the cringiest scenes in the movie where they had to break up.
Oh man, before we get to that, his style is out of control at this point. Ronnie is full on douche, wearing multiple patterns,
Yeah.
doing the most.
Yeah.
He needs to take some pro tips from his father. His dad had style for
Oh,
sure.
his dad was the hipster before hipsters.
Man, that guy was cleaning his dope car, his dope ride with some cut jean shorts, no show socks. That guy was killing it.
I think he was the inventor of the no-show socks, but his dad was 100% a cool dad. And, you know, he had the hipster style. I was like, man, when's the spinoff coming from his dad? Because his dad needs his own movie.
It would have been crushing it nowadays. But let's get to that breakup scene because they're back in school. It seems like Cindy doesn't want to break up. She's trying to whisper to him, trying to, hey, like maybe we need to talk about this. And full on douche Ronnie just gives it to her.
Yeah, and then I think where Cindy was like, well, let's break up, but let's do it in a dignified, mature manner. He made it into a whole big drama scene where he goes, oh, you know, why are you comparing me to Ronnie? You're,
Bobby.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Why are you comparing me to Bobby all the time? You're running me dry. I'm broke now because of you. And she was like, whoa, it doesn't have to be like this. And she was like, well, it is, you know, so I'm done with you. And she go on and gives him the slap of the century.
That was a real slap. He thought it was all for show, but that for sure, the audience knew. We felt that. That was a clean slap.
Once again, it was very, very cringy for me to watch. I was like, oh my God, why does he have to do this?
Yeah, but he didn't know.
Yeah, he got what he deserved at the end of that little sequence.
He did. He really did get what he deserved, and he got what he wanted. He was that guy. Everyone was seeing that, yo, Ronnie is dumping Cindy. He must be the guy.
Correct.
Her two best friends are all over him too. They're saying, oh, I'm gonna date him. No, I already claimed him. This and that. It's up there.
I'm pretty sure that's against girl code where your best friend just kind of breaks up with a dude and then now you two are trying to fight over him. Like, I'm pretty sure that would not happen nowadays, but that was kind of sketchy because, like once they broke up, both her best friends saw the opportunity. Like, whoa, Cindy was told no by this guy. This guy must be, king, big guy, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. So he actually goes, or he's scheduled to go on a date, and he goes on a date with, was it Barbara or Patty? I can't remember who was.
Barbara was the taller one.
Barbara was the first one, right? She has the nice curly hair.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go on a date. I think they're chilling together, and the whole time on the date, whenever Barbara's not around, Patty's like trying to get her claws into him, trying to get a piece of Ron for her.
Yeah, sketchy, scandalous.
Man, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. So they have a quick little date. The whole time, Ronnie's younger brother, a young Seth Green, is kind of spying on him, seeing, hey, how is he getting the head cheerleader? How is he doing all these things? Like, what's going on? Constantly just getting farted on too.
Yeah, I mean, Seth Green, the younger brother, knows his older, my big bro ain't all that cool. What's going on? Why is he getting all this play?
Yeah.
So, he goes on in his little adventure and try to figure out what's going on. After him and Barbara go out, Patty, which is the other best friend, asks him to go on a date, which is the school dance.
That's right. Which he agrees to, and then he immediately thinks, oh man, I don't know how to dance. So he does what anyone would do at that time. He turns to some television.
Correct. They didn't have YouTube back then. But I think what he tried to watch was American Bandstand, which is, I think like the white people version of Soul Train.
Oh, man.
So I think he turned on, to watch some dance moves, and so he could try to learn last minute. But come to find out, it wasn't American Bandstand. It was
the African Culture Hour where they the anteater ritual.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So he ended up watching. Yeah, he ended up watching people dance, and he thought, okay, cool, this is the latest dance move. When in actuality, it's the African anteater ritual dance.
Another 80s cringe moment.
Yeah.
And he copied it to a T because he was ready to take that to the dance.
I might have to pull out the dance move and see if it works nowadays. I would bet no, but it was very interesting.
Goodness gracious. And when they're in the dance, even before he gets into the floor, he's so nervous. He has to take a shot, a straight alcohol.
Mhm.
Gets onto the dance floor. As he's pulling out his moves, a couple of students go, "Is he retarded?"
Yeah.
It wouldn't hold up today, but I mean, that's what he. I mean, that's what it was supposed to be, a very outlandish extra dance, like
Yeah.
shaking his hands and doing
Yeah.
these weird three steps.
Yeah, he was like shaking his hand, he was gyrating. And at first, the cool kids were like, "Yo, what's up with him?" And they were
Yeah,
kind of like, standoffish, but they're figuring out, well, since he's the cool kid, it must be the coolest thing. And true nature, high school kids kind of see what the cool kids doing, they kind of follow suit. So basically the whole school was doing his dance.
by the end of that dance, everyone was just copying him. They were all doing that anteater ritual, and of course, Ronnie's friends at the time, well, his old friends, the nerds,
Yeah.
off on the bleachers, they were saying, "Yo, that's the anteater ritual
Yeah.
dance."
Why is everyone doing an African, anteater ritual dance? But, I mean, people follow people, cool
Yep.
kids were doing it. So, now everyone's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can take this point to kind of talk about how his relationship with his old friends is kind of out the window now.
Yeah.
Was the four, they were always four, they were always together. They did poker nights on Saturdays. Ronald, now Ronnie, was missing all of them. His best friend Ken was trying to reach out to him. "Yo, we don't hang out anymore. We missed you. This isn't you. Like, what's up?" Ronnie's trying to please everyone, right? He's trying to still stay cool. And, "No, Ken, we'll hang out. We'll do our thing." But he's
So,
constantly letting Ken down.
yeah, you get like he, kind of, like you said, he saw the opportunity to be with the cool kids, and he kind of brushed off where he kind of came from, and was given 100% of his time to the cool kids, and it kind of deteriorated his friendship with his other friends, and that kind of sucks that happened. But
Yeah.
once he gained that certain social stature, he kind of forgot who he was, anyways.
Yeah, and the whole time as Ronnie's dating these other girls, Cindy's best friend, she's even trying to reconnect with him,
Mm-hmm.
trying to ground him, but he's just, his ego is off the charts. He
Yeah.
doesn't listen to her, and it sucks. It really does suck because the whole time Cindy's a real person and she's still always looking out for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just being a tool, thinking he knows it all.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically a rookie to the whole popularity thing. Cindy was trying to give him some game, like, "Yo, you need to chill out a little bit." He was like, "Mo, you're just jealous because I'm the popular one now."
Yeah.
So that kind of made his head even bigger. So um, once your head gets that big, there's only one thing that can happen when it gets that big. It's gonna pop sooner or later.
But it doesn't pop after the dance because Ronnie gets his first look at some boobs.
Yeah.
You know what's coming.
Yeah. It was really weird because like, I'm like, what are they doing? And watching this as a little kid, I was like, what are they doing in the car? And she said that little silly line. What line did she say again?
Oh man, she says something along the lines of like, she shows him a boob and she goes, "This is the nicest boob you'll ever see, the second nicest boob you'll ever see, and this is the first," or something like that. Basically, she has the best boobs
Yeah.
around.
And I was like, whoa, that's what high school kids do? And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I thought that was kind of way out that was going on for Ronnie. And, congrats to him. But,
Yeah,
man, that was kind of crazy.
yeah. That was a really funny scene for me, at least. I'm glad that they didn't really show anything. It's not that kind of movie
Yeah,
where,
I think it's a PG. It's PG. I don't even think it's PG-13. It's a PG movie.
oh, there's some swearing in there for
Okay,
people,
so it's
but
PG-13.
I mean, but it was different back then. I feel like in the 80s, you can get away with a couple craps and shits and
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So, but it was good. Oh man, that was funny for sure. So Ronnie's doing his thing, getting his ego boosted, seeing some boob action, and now comes Halloween where the mischief happens. And this is another opportunity for Ronnie to kind of show that he's not a jerk.
But he's trying to fit in, so he kind of has to kind of go through with it. So yeah, the cool kids had a little ritual where they do, they go to this one house, they TP, they throw eggs and tomatoes, and they throw a shit bomb, which is basically a brown paper sack full of dog shit.
Yep, yep, yep. And of course, they always hit the same house every year. And unfortunately for Ronnie, that house is Ken's house.
Yeah, his ex-best friend.
Yep. They're not talking at the moment. And it's just it's not looking as though, you know, as you're watching this unfold, you're just thinking, Ronnie, don't be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a small glimpse of him coming back to reality. It was like, yo, I think there's a different house that we can hit up. We shouldn't do this house. And then, you know, the cool kids were like, I told you he's still a nerd. You know, he'll always be a nerd. And that's where he was like, no, I'll prove you I'm not a nerd. So he went along with it.
Yep, Operation Sting. They hit the house. Ken's dad and his younger brother, they were ready because they knew that this was going to happen. It happens every year. Yeah. So they were ready with some traps, but none of them work. Ronnie throws the shit. It hits the door. Looks bad for everyone. The cool kids are running away. And Ronnie gets captured by Ken. And Ken is so shocked when he sees it's Ronnie. He freezes. Ronnie gets away, but the damage was already done.
Yeah, the damage was already done. Ken knew that, you know, Ronnie was lost once he saw him captured in that net, and he kind of let him go because he just didn't want to deal with it. But the dad made a comment, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get him next year." And then Ken said, "You know what? I don't think he's coming back."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was heartbreaking. It was definitely heartbreaking because in the beginning it was always Ronald with Ken.
Yeah.
Always doing their thing, having their character moments, and now it's the fall from grace, at least from an ethical standpoint, right? Because at this point, Ronnie has officially he messed up with Cindy, and he messed up with his best friend for people that he barely even knows that right. They're cool. So
yeah, for the approval of these people that he don't even really know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that's the third pin that needs to fall was basically Cindy he screwed over, Ken, who his best friend was screwed over. Now he's gonna have to disappoint, you know, the rest of the people that's around him, which was the New Year's Eve party.
Oh yeah, so we're about to get to that, and at this point, we know Cindy already told her friends, "I don't have Bobby anymore." They hit Thanksgiving. Ronnie's lying to his parents saying he doesn't have a progress report because all his grades are suffering, everything's suffering. He's trying to impress them so hard just to get to this New Year's Eve party when shit really hits the fan for young Ronnie. He's with another girl at this party, Iris, who, for lack of a better term, everyone calls the village whore.
Yeah.
Everyone's ridding her.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember in this scene too, so I know Cindy was talking to her best friend saying, "Yo, you know, how's Bobby doing? You know, it's kind of whack that he couldn't come down from Iowa, you know, to visit his family for the holidays."
Yeah.
But so that kind of showed you, okay, well, Bobby's, you know, not in town until he actually does show up to the party to surprise her. Surprise. And then he sees Ronnie with Iris, like, whoa, who's Iris's, you know, latest victim? And then his homies were like, well, actually, that's Ronnie's latest victim. Ronnie's been on a tear. And then Bobby was like, well, you're not a legend until you can bag the captain of the cheerleading team. And then that's when all his friends were like,
everyone goes quiet.
I'm not going to say nothing. And then Bobby's like, wait, no way. Ronnie and Cindy? No. And then, you know, of course, Bobby kind of hits up Cindy. And then what happens?
Who's completely drunk out of her mind at this point because she gets to this party. She sees Ronnie with Iris. She knows Bobby ain't coming and they're broken up. She hears Ronnie drop her poetry line on another woman. It's just so bad for her. So she gets completely shit-faced. And Bobby shows up. Oh, no. Bobby gives it to her, absolutely lays into her. And she's trying to say, yo, but, you know, what about us? All this stuff. So she loses Bobby. Ronnie is already out the picture, dropping lines that she made.
Yeah.
She has nothing else to lose. She confronts Ronnie. And
well, it was really, really bad, too. I think there was one thing that kind of hurt me was Cindy was like, no, Bobby, no, he paid me, to act like his girlfriend.
Yep.
And then Bobby hits her with the line, well, that makes you a prostitute. And I was like, oh man, that sucks for Cindy. And then, Cindy, belligerent, she's a little drunk, and she sees Ronnie, with the cool kids, kind of, glowing. And she's like, you know what? I'm about to spill the beans. And that's
Yep.
when she kind of blows up in front of everybody and tells them, y'all a bunch of idiots.
Yep.
I mean, Ronnie paid me $1,000 to prove to you guys that he can make it just as long as I hang out with him. And y'all fell for it. And then everyone was like, what? No way. And then Cindy was like, well, y'all the idiots. At least I got paid.
Yeah. And from this moment on, Ronnie gets complete. He goes back to Ronald.
Yeah.
Yeah, gets completely exiled. He went from barely being acknowledged that he's alive to top of the food chain to most hated person for sure.
Correct. Yeah, like no one wanted to hang out with him. Like even like the people that they like the considered freaks wouldn't hang out with him.
Yep.
Yeah, he was basically bottom of the bottom of the totem pole once after New Year's Eve. His New Year, New Me was not looking too good for him.
He was completely 2020 at that point.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be 2020.
Yeah, whenever he entered the room, he was basically COVID-19. Everyone would disperse. No one wanted to do nothing with him. So he was just basically done. His whole social stature that he worked so hard to get was erased.
Oh, 100%. He tries to reconnect with Ken at this point, and Ken, oh man, you can really feel it. Ken's crying, saying, dude, just, you've done enough. I can't. Leave me alone. This is it. Ronald, at this point, pouring his heart out. No, I need to get you back. Like, I know I messed up, all this stuff, but you threw shit on his door, bro.
Yeah, and I think the really cool thing about this one too, this is where now I'm starting to feel a little bit for Ronald, where he was like, hey man, I may have messed up my ties with people, but you're the one that I have to fix this with. You're the one that I have to make this right by. And then Ken was not having it, and
Yep.
and I'm on Ken's side. You threw shit on his door, and but at the same time, now you're feeling for Ronald, like, you know what, I did mess up, but he was trying to make amends, and at least he was trying to make amends with the right people.
Absolutely. And after he's unsuccessful in his attempt with Ken, but he's persistent. He's always been. So he tries to track down Cindy. He's calling her constantly. She's not picking up. She's doing her hair. She's out of the country.
Yeah.
It's not working out.
Yeah.
So then he even tries to track her down in school. She runs into the girls' bathroom, and Ronald runs in after her.
He gets a month's attention for trying to make things right with her.
Yeah, because he tries to talk to her through the stall, and wrong stall, bro. Oh man. So he gets a month's attention. He tries all he can, but the people who would have been in his corner are not in his corner because of everything that he did. He dug his grave, and now he has to lie in it.
Yeah, and he understood that. That's a cool thing. It was like, well, I kind of made my own bed. Now I got to lie in it.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of like, man, you hope for him to kind of get back to where he was, at least, to at least being a zero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was really, really down, and this is where you start to see him kind of build himself back up.
Yeah, and the whole time, Cindy, when he's not around, Cindy is somewhat defending him. Her friends are talking crap about him. Oh, can you believe that guy? Blah blah blah. And she goes, "Well, y'all two were into him."
Yeah.
And then they go quiet. So she's still being very practical, being very level-headed, understanding that he's a person. He's made his mistakes. He's doing his thing. But hey, we just have to keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how another reason why we love Cindy so much.
And then when he finally finds a way where he's like, you know what, since I can't get you over the phone, I can't get you at school, I'm gonna go bother you at like 6 a.m. at your house. Yep. And so he goes and brings out his lawnmower and starts mowing the lawn at 6 a.m. Cindy comes running out. What are you doing? My mom's about to call the police.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, well, you ain't returning none of my calls. I get detention trying to apologize for you. And she was like, well, whatever, you're a jerk and whatever. And I think the cool thing he said at this point was, all he wanted to do was to be where she was at.
Yeah.
But once he finally got there, it wasn't him anymore. Mm-hmm. And whatever situation he is in now, he understands it, because this is not who he was supposed to be. And he understands, like, I'm in dog shit just because I was a jerk. I was a douche.
Yeah, exactly. And Cindy, being the lovable character that she is, she of course understands because she knew this from the start, and she's given him the benefit of doubt the whole time. And it's a good moment. It's definitely a good moment. You see where the character is, where he started, where he's coming from now, how he fell, how he's trying to pick himself up, and it's a good moment. You can definitely tell that Cindy hears him now.
Yeah.
It's not just words like, okay, he's still the same douche. No, he has gone through it, and he's ready to change.
Yeah, because Cindy knew that he wasn't a jerk. Cindy knew that, like for that short, brief period when they hung out for a month, he was just a really, really cool guy. So when she saw this side of him, like, whoa, this is not you.
Yeah,
Where the old Ronald Miller go? She just knew that there was a sweet guy that was really in that douche, outside of him.
exactly. And in the very next scene, we're able to really see the finishing moment for Ronald's character, for his redemption, because Ken's helping Patty now.
Correct.
Ken's
Yeah.
helping Patty with some homework during lunch, and the jocks see it and they go, "Oh no, not this shit again.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop it before anything blows up."
Yeah, so this is where you kind of cheer for Ronald, and Cindy even turns around like, hey, turns around to the jocks like, yo, do something. Oh, your friend is making an idiot out of himself, and they kind of like turn away. Ronald comes into almost the defense of Ken,
Yeah,
and tells him, yo, let go of Ken, and he threatens to break the jock's
it's
arm.
good throwing arm. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
bat. Yep.
And he makes the point like, yo, we were all friends at one point, and then we were friends when you broke your arm. We actually walked you to the hospital. What happened? Once we got to high school, we all went our separate ways. It's kind of stupid how we're not even friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes the comment, like Ken is just trying to be Ken, trying to make friends. He's just trying to do what any normal high school person would do, and he's just doing him. It's hard enough just to be yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's actually a really cool comment. It's hard to be yourself. I messed up. I tried to buy my way in when Ken is just trying to do, the right thing, and everyone kind of cheers.
The whole school's watching. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Whole school watching. He drops the hammer. The jock lets go of Ken. Everyone understands, like, yeah, this is the situation. And Ronald's right. It is hard to just be yourself. And this is just a moment where one guy's mess up shouldn't affect the way other people are treated. And it's a good way to kind of end his character arc of, hitting the top, falling from grace, and going back to just being a real person.
Yeah, and it also kind of ties a loose end where, you don't know if him and Ken are best friends again, but he stood up for him and like, hey, my bad, and he kind of like, lets it be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the very next scene, this is getting towards the end of the movie. Cindy and Ronald, just how it opened up. He's mowing the lawn. She's about to take off with her friends, but she acknowledges him, and so do her friends. They go, "Hey, Ronald," and that's a good sign that things happen. We all grow from it, and it's a great way to kind of show that Ronald has completely become a person now. And we can talk to him, and it's not gonna kill us.
Yeah, and then Cindy kind of notices like, like, hey, thank you for doing what you did. He was like, no, it's cool, everything, it is, have fun. Ronald understands now, like, those are your friends.
Yeah.
Have fun. I'm gonna do my thing. And then, Cindy gets in a car and drives off with her friends, and then what else happens, John?
She jumps right off of that car to be with Ronald, because that's just how 80s movies happen. Cheesy 80s movie. The guy gets the girl.
Yeah, he gets the girl, and they drive off to the sunset.
Literally drive off into the sunset
on the lawnmower
with a new deal in place.
Yeah, they can finally kiss.
Yeah, they can finally kiss. They can hang out on Saturday nights if they agree prior to Saturday.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of a cool thing where, it kind of comes around full circle.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was really cool. He ends up with the girl. You know, he will possibly become one of the cool kids once again, but at this time, not being Ronnie, but being Ronald.
Exactly. Exactly. He's Ronald. Can't Buy Me Love plays him off into the sunset, just how the movie opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, Ace, I mean, it sounds like you really enjoyed the film. So what other thoughts do you have for this film?
I mean, overall, I mean, like it's very 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 straightforward. It's a good film. It's not gonna win any Oscars. You know, it doesn't make Patrick Dempsey, you know, the best actor in the world.
No.
But just overall, it's just a feel good movie.
Oh yeah.
It's a good high school rom com, and you know, it's basically my youth, and I enjoy my youth.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that even if the characters aren't completely believable, we understand that they're filling the archetypes of who they are at that time.
Mm.
It's cheesy, it's fun, there's laughs. The little brother's a douche and a dick to him, but he gets farted on a couple times, which is always fart jokes never get old. So there's tons of moments where it's just a good time. It's a good way to waste. I think it's only like hour and a half too. It's a good way to
Yeah,
waste.
it's a very short movie. It's one of those. That's what I'm saying. It's one of those movies like, whoa, it's ending already. Like you're just having a good time because you're really connecting with the characters. But the one bad thing that I will say about Can't Buy Me Love is that Nick Cannon tried to remake it.
Oh man, so it was remade actually in 2003. Love Don't Cost a Thing, starring Nick Cannon, Christina Milian. Basically the exact same movie.
Just with the 2000 feel.
Yeah, oh for sure, for sure. Starring Nick Cannon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what's a fun little thing here? If they were to remake it again, who would you cast as old Ronald Miller if they were to launch it for 2020?
Oh. I mean, I think he's a bit older now, but I guess like a Michael Cera, I think could fit that role.
Okay.
Because he's kind of funny, a little dorky.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking Michael Cera could have been Ken.
The Michael's, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That
And,
definitely because he fits that kind of nerdy role.
it sounds really weird. I don't know his name, but he's the guy that voiced in the Dragon movie. He's also She's Out of My League.
Yeah. His name starts with the J. He comes out, yeah. He's part of the Seth Rogen crew.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting if he became, you know, Ronald Miller.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Cera could be, you know, good old, you know, Ken, his best friend that he kind of betrays. Who would you pick as Sidney Mancini?
So his name is Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, him. Yeah. So Cindy's. So it would have to be the girl next door. You know who I really like? She might be a bit older now. She was in The Babysitter and also Ready or Not. Samara Weaving. She might have an older look now, but in The Babysitter, she was totally like badass, hot, but at the same time, girl next door vibes, really sticking up for people. I mean, it doesn't have to be her. But I really like her because she's fiery. I feel like Cindy had that fire.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to erase Love Don't Cost a Thing. That's the only thing that I'm trying to do. That's my purpose here right now is there's Can't Buy Me Love. Love Don't Cost a Thing never exists, and let's redo it the right way.
Oh man. I mean, there's a ton of ways to do it. I think it's a good remake. I honestly think that this was a really good film.
Yeah.
It's time. It's like you said, it's not gonna win an Oscar, but it's a good way to just kill an hour and a half, enjoy some cheesy laughs, some cringe moments. Yeah, for sure.
It's a really, really good movie. It's one, like I said, it's a really good time. It's an hour and a half. It's not going to take all day to watch.
Yeah.
And it definitely hits home.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up actually for this episode. I appreciate the time, Ace. Where can we find you?
You can definitely find me on Instagram and on Twitter on Boom It's Ace. That's my handle on actually both on Instagram and on Twitter. I mean, I really, really appreciate this. This was fun. Hopefully you get to invite me back to the lab. I had a good time. Really, really good time.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely have you back. I think we're going to have to kind of keep this 80s movies theme a thing for us if you're down for that series.
100%. I actually have a couple of movies in mind already. So we don't have enough 80s movies actually. So we're gonna. I have a lot of movies for us to discuss.
So be on the lookout for that, everyone. Again, I'm John. Thanks again for visiting the lab. You can find me at theory_labs on Instagram. I'm Theory Labs on YouTube. And I appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ace.
Thanks, John.